record?
Of this room, and I have a naturally soft voice, so this is going to be challenging. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay. So thanks for coming today. We're celebrating Douglas's life as he starts the new stage of his life, on his journey. I'm going to start with some hidden words from Baha'u'llah. We are Baha'is, and so those scriptures are particularly meaningful to us. I will talk a little bit about the life of the Spirit in the words of Abdul-Baha, his son, and tell you I have a message of love for Doug from myself and a couple of prayers. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about how Doug lived his life. And a bunch of friends are going to help me do that. And then I'll just open it up to whoever wants to share stories or anything about how their relationship was with Doug. Okay, so a hidden word. O Son of Man, thou art my dominion, and my dominion perisheth not. Wherefore fearest thou thy perishing? Thou art my light, and my light shall never be extinguished. Why dost thou dread extinction? Thou art my glory, and my glory fadeth not. Thou art my robe, and my robe shall never be outworn. Abide then in thy love for me, that thou mayest find me in the realm of glory. Now these are Abdul-Baha's words of the life of the Spirit. Consider how a being in the world of the womb was deaf of ear and blind of eye and mute of tongue. How he was bereft of any perception at all. But once, out of that world of darkness, he passed into this world of light. Then his eye saw, his ear heard, his tongue spoke. In the same way, once he hath hastened away from this mortal plane into the kingdom of God, then he will be born in the Spirit. Then the eye of his perception will open, the ear of his soul will hearken, and all the truths of which he was ignorant before will be made plain and clear. To consider that after the death of the body the spirit perishes is like imagining that a bird in a cage will be destroyed if the cage is broken, though the bird has nothing to fear from the destruction of the cage. Our body is like the cage, and the spirit is like the bird. We see that without the cage, this bird flies in the world of sleep. Therefore, if the cage becomes broken, the bird will continue and exist. Its feelings will be even more powerful, its perceptions greater, and its happiness increased. In truth, from hell it reaches a paradise of delights, because for the thankful birds, there is no paradise greater than freedom from the cage. Man, the true man, is soul, not body. Though physically man belongs to the animal kingdom, yet his soul lifts him above the rest of creation. Behold how the light of the sun illuminates the world of matter. Even so doth the divine light shed its rays in the kingdom of the soul. The soul it is, which makes the human creature a celestial entity. O Son of Spirits, with the joyful tidings of light I hail thee, rejoice. To the court of holiness I summon thee. Abide therein that thou mayest live in peace forevermore. This is the second time I'm telling this story, and I'm sorry if I get a little teary. This is my message of love to my husband. We had when we were particularly being fond of each other, we had a term of endearment. Honey, my love. Honey, my love. What do you want to do today? Honey, my love, will you bring that over here for me? Just every day. So this is for my dad. Honey, my love, you and I have always believed we found each other for a reason. Whenever things were rough for us, God stepped in and cleared a way. As the anvil of time beat on, we forged a strong family and tempered ourselves. You were my rock, our rock. I never really realized the depth of my love for you until you left. Saying farewell is unbearably sad, and yet I know you have begun an astonishing journey. To cling to despair would only hinder your movement, so fly, my love. Your struggles, your worries and concerns in this mortal world are over. If you are able, send us guidance as we strive to emulate the selfless love, the real concern and care you share. You truly are an inspiration to us all. Until we meet again, you will be missed, my gentle, loving sunbeam from God. Your legacy lives on in our hearts and manifests in our actions. We were blessed to know you for this fleeting time. You are tremendously loved. I pray that love gives lift to your wings. Please join me in a prayer. Oh my God, O thou forgiver of sins, bestower of gifts, dispeller of afflictions. Verily, I beseech thee to forgive the sins of such as have abandoned the physical garment and have ascended to the spiritual world. O my Lord, purify them from trespasses, dispel their sorrow, and change their darkness into light. Cause them to enter the garden of happiness, cleanse them with the most pure water, and grant them to behold thy splendors on the loftiest mount. O God, refresh and gladden my spirit, purify my heart, illumine my powers. I lay all my affairs in thy hand. Thou art my guide and my refuge. I will no longer be sorrowful and grieved. I will be a happy and joyful being. O God, I will no longer be full of anxiety, nor will I let trouble harass me. I will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life. O God, thou art more friend to me than I am to myself. I dedicate myself to thee, O Lord. Dear friends and family, each of you is here because you were part of Doug's life in some way. Some of you know him as an artist, some of you know him as a gardener, others as a mechanic, many as a friend, brother. I knew Doug as all those things, and also as maddening, admirable, adherent to the eternal teaching of the Golden Rule. Now, there are two religions in the world, believe it or not. One is the religion of God, and one is the religion of man. The religion of man is filled with confusion, divided up into innumerable warring and independent sects, infighting and chaos, and cause of many wars. The religion of God is one, and has been given progressively throughout human history to unite hearts, elevate the souls of men, and bring about a state and condition of spirituality that will uplift the human spirit, create man in the image of God, loving, just, generous, harmonious, faithful, and to free the human mind from blind imitation and slavish devotion to false creeds and man-made dogma. In this light, we can see the truth of the religion of God, woven like a golden thread throughout all faiths, whose origin is from God, in the form of the Golden Rule. Most of us understand this rule in a Christian context, but it's present in every world religion brought to us by God. So I want to share a sampling, incomplete sampling, of the Golden Rule. And those of you who have your slips of paper, please have them ready, and we'll start with the Christian version.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Baha'i.
O Son of Man, if thine eyes be turned toward mercy, forsake the things that profit thee, and cleave unto that which will profit mankind. And if thine eyes be turned toward justice, choose thou for thy neighbor that which thou choosest for thyself.
Buddhist.
Hurt not others with that which pains yourself, or in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. One should seek for others the happiness one desires for oneself.
Hindu.
Do not to others what ye do not wish done to yourself, and wish for others too what ye desire and long for yourself. This is the whole Dharma. Heed it well.
Zoroastrianism.
Whatsoever is disagreeable to yourself, do not do unto others.
Jainist.
A man should wander about treating all creatures as he himself would be treated.
Sikh.
Precious like jewels are the minds of all. To hurt them is not at all good. If thou desirest thy beloved, then hurt thou not anyone's heart.
Confucianism.
If one strives to treat others as he would be treated by them, he will come near the perfect life.
Native American.
Do not kill or injure your neighbor, for it is not him that you injure. You injure yourself. But do good to him. Therefore, add to his days of happiness as you add to your own.
Do not wrong or hate your neighbor, for it is not him that you wrong yourself, but love him. For the Great Spirit loves him also as he loves you.
African traditional.
A sage is an ingenious and leads his life after comprehending the parity of the killed and the killer. Therefore, neither does he cause violence to others, nor does he make others do so.
Islam.
Not one of you is a believer until he desires for another that which he desires for himself.
Judaism.
What is hateful to you, do not to your fellow man. This is the law. All the rest is commentary.
All the rest is commentary. That's powerful. There is a real truth in the golden rule that comes from God and not from fallible man. If we all were to practice this rule, could there be any better foundation for the end of war, the spiritual solution to our economic problems, and the establishment of God's kingdom of justice and peace on earth for all mankind? Many times, I admonished Doug to look out for himself because he gave and gave and gave. And he gave stuff away all the time. And you're like, what are you doing? At the same time, I admired him. I saw what he was doing. He was being selfless. He bore my criticism quietly. He listened to me and he loved me in spite of it. But he went right on giving of himself. Those of you who knew him well know just what I mean. He was an inspiration and a wonder. Please pray for the progress of his soul. And I invite anybody now, I guess my friends want to have first say. So thank you for listening.
I want to know you guys are coming out. It's obvious a week after his passing that he affected the lives of many people that go well beyond the people that are in this room. My dad was as selfless as a person as I've ever met in my entire life. Of course, I'm biased, but I don't think anybody in here would really disagree with me. He spent his life giving. He spent his life loving, and he really did have this big picture kind of sorted out. He really did understand what was important in life, and he lived his life in a beautiful fashion. He mastered many crafts. and expressed themselves in only in generosity and love. I get a lot of strength from being around people, and I kind of suffer in silence, which I think my dad did quite a bit for our family and for the people that he cared about. But I can think of no better example that I want to follow in life than the example that my dad set for me and my brothers. He loved his siblings. He loved his family. He was a bit of a wild child. I'm going to figure more details out on that as we go. But ever since I remember my dad as a child, and I have a pretty good memory, all I ever remember was love and selflessness. And when you look around, you see not only people affected by my dad in some way, some small, some large, but you literally see examples, a very, very small example of his life's work. His life's work and his life's importance was his family. And in complete humility, we wouldn't be here if it was not for my dad. He physically helped us build this gym and build up a life where we believed in what we did, and we worked hard for it. And the benches, literally every single thing in here was a result of my dad's influence, his guidance, and sometimes just grit. While I find a lot of strength in being around a lot of people, I feel like it's my responsibility to a certain degree to step up to the plate. I can only help celebrate a beautiful life, and there's not really words. I don't think. I think I could ramble. My brother said it best at his funeral. I could ramble for hours and hours about all the things Dad did for me. I'll never be able to. So I let his life speak for itself, and I think that the reverberations of my dad's selflessness and love are going to move on through the future in a positive and powerful way. And I just want to say I love you guys. I have a newfound respect for the love of every single person in this room, every single person outside of this room. My dad was a walking example of the golden rule. He was a walking example of do unto others. That's how he lived his life. And we're all better for it if we can try to emulate that and reserve judgment and be kind. My dad wanted to have a celebration when he passed away. And he joked about how tired he was. And it wasn't going to be a big deal. And every single thing, guys, that has happened in the last week was exactly the way my dad wanted it to happen. Simple, beautiful, kind, surrounded by people that he loved. And he insisted on celebrations. He insisted on happiness. He insisted on the celebration of a life well lived. And when my family and I are down, we think of the influence that he had upon us, and he's with us, in our heart. That's all that matters. So I invite you guys to celebrate today. And if you guys take anything from my dad, be kind. Just be kind. If you have an opportunity to transcend yourself and to step up to a higher plane and reserve judgment, reach out your hand and be kind, be kind. A story I'll leave you in closing. When I was a teenager, my dad and I were driving back home, and we're driving through kind of a rough part of town. And there was a group of gentlemen broken down on the side of the road with the hood up. And my first thought was, is this a trap? I've been trapped before. I've had bad experiences where I've lent out a kind hand and I've had that hand smacked away. I was concerned. I'm like 14. My dad is, the strongest guy in the world, but at this point he's a little older. So I don't know how we're going to stack up against 4 guys. And I said, Dad, I don't know if this is a great idea. He didn't even think about it. He didn't even hear me. He just stopped the truck, got out, ran over there. What's going on? What's the problem? And within 5 or 10 minutes, this group of young gentlemen were shaking my dad's hand and saying thank you and driving off away. Be strong, work hard, love your family, and be kind. If everybody adhered to the golden rule, what war, what conflict, what debate could we find in the world? We'd have to make one up. Just be kind. That's all I got.
Like my brother said, I could sit here and tell you guys a million stories. Like they go on forever. In fact, I wrote the day my dad passed. I wanted to write him a letter, just so he could, it's a physical letter, but I was writing this, and I couldn't stop. Pages upon pages. I had to finish it at about 11 or 12 pages. But I felt like I was having a conversation with my dad the whole time. And along with the selflessness, that I want to tell my story. When I started training with my brother and getting into MMA, and I think this fits just because it's we're at Hard Drive. Later in my dad's life, he lived through us, man. Like he helped Keone, build his gym, even the new awesome gym you guys that train are going to be a part of. He was in there every single day. This is what he wanted to do. As for me, just going back, I dropped out of high school when I was 16. Didn't tell my parents for 2 weeks. Wasn't going to high school. I decided that, I'm going to be a pro athlete. I'm just going to fight professionally. As simple as that sounds, right? It's going to work out. For the longest time, I told people, even when I get into it with my girlfriend, about the hardships of life, and well, I didn't graduate high school, and I lived on the street for a short time, and I did this, that, and I'm so strong. I look back at it now, and I call kind of bullshit on myself, because even if I didn't have, most people in my life and a lot of people that turned their back on me, my dad has never turned his back on me. If I was hungry and if I was living house to house at friend's house, whatever, if I was hungry, my dad got me food. Whether my mom knew it or not, and my mom will attain, man. She would get into it.
How is it going to build character?
Right. Let them starve. No.
There's food in the fridge.
Yeah. But I just remember, even my mom and dad getting into it, and he would do whatever he wanted for his sons. And there was even a point, I remember, I got mad at my mom selfishly. I got mad at my mom because they were fighting really bad. My mom's like, Doug, you gotta choose. Like, you can't keep doing this. Your son's growing up and he's out of the house. And I just remember it made me change for the better, because it wasn't my mom's fault, but that's truly how selfless my dad was. My dad loved my mom unconditionally, but he loved his sons just as much, and anything that affected us or hurted us, he did not want it to happen. But like I said, I go back and I talked a bunch of bullshit how tough I was, and I went through all this. That man he is the reason I'm here. He's the reason Keone's here. He's the reason this is a gym, and it continues to be a gym. I told a lot of you I was already planning on moving back. Me and Keone are gonna, with Bud and all of our members now, we're gonna run this gym. I wanted to come back because I knew my parents were getting older, and that was a big part of it. I wanted to spend as much time as I could. This was completely unexpected, but if anything, I feel really, really strong. I feel really strong coming back here and continuing this legacy. I said it before and I'll say it again, my dad's not dead. My dad lives through us, and the hard work ethic, the selflessness, the love, I want to continue that forward. And like my brother said, be kind. Be kind. I know we're in a rough sport, but if there's anything martial arts has taught me, it's it's discipline and you know, humility and helping out our partners. And like I said, that's all my dad was about, was selflessness. And I just want us to go forward, be a better person, but at the same time take over the world. Become the best gym in the world. That's my self.
And part of that just to add on to that, part of that selflessness, guys, is, and this is my dad saying, the tears are good now. You need to go out and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day. We've had beautiful weather ever since he passed, the perfect weather, his favorite weather. That's a big deal. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but trust me, it is. And more than a heavy heart or a looming cloud, my dad would want a sunshiny day for all you guys. He'd want you guys to leave here happy, refreshed, a renewed perspective, and a new appreciation for life because only you had an opportunity, a rare opportunity to meet a great man. So I want you to think about that as you leave today, not with heavy hearts, but happy that man existed, because as my brother and I both noted, simply put, guys, come on in if you want. Simply put, everything that you see around you, any legacy that I would ever hope to build, period, wouldn't have ever happened. We owe a lot to our parents. We all owe a lot to our parents, their trials and tribulations. And only because of the sacrifices and guidance of my mom and dad have we been able to do what we've done thus far. And only because of that motivation and perspective for what's important in life am I going to carry on my family's legacy forward in a manner that hopefully honors my dad in the best way possible. So I appreciate all you guys coming. If there's anybody else that would like to speak, tell stories, whatever, take the floor. If there's an uncomfortable silence where nobody comes up here for about 30 to 45 seconds and everybody's looking around the room, eat some food. My wonderful family is known for their culinary skills. And on display here's big trays and bean bread and some treats. My dad would want you to celebrate, eat, converse, and then go out and enjoy a beautiful day. Thank you, guys.
For the fellow nerds here that know this, that'll always, this will live it. This was probably one of the coolest things my dad ever did for me. How old was I? I want to say it was.
You're calling us nerds?
I'm a nerd. If anybody's got a problem with nerd, come to me. I'll take care of it. How old was I when I was Cloud?
When you were what?
When I did the Cloud.
Probably 9.
Does anybody here know the
Final
video
Fantasy
game Final Fantasy
VII. My favorite game at the time and my favorite character was Cloud Strife with the big old oversized sword, huge, right?
It's a cartoon. It doesn't make any sense.
So I wanted to be Cloud Strife really bad. My mom helped me with the paper mache, and I got all the armor, the outfit, and I should have brought a picture. I completely skipped. But my best friend Corey Stone was another character from this game, Barrett. I remember he had a bucket, and he put hair curlers on it for the barrels, and it was like a machine gun right on his arm.